Hi and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to do a battle between the Steinhart Ocean Vintage Military, between the old 42 and the new 39, as you can see there. So this is not going to be a full review, it's just a head-on battle who is going to win. And I have sort of indicated already by this one here that it's going to be the new 39 that's going to win, because there are no less than 3 improvements in the new 39. So quite a big feat, because the old one was already good. So before we get into it, of course, everyone knows this little guy here. He's in a diver suit because it's diver watches we're looking at. So I don't want to go into the history of Steinhart watches and the Ocean Vintage Military. I assume you know all of this, so it's just a very cool watch and a true homage. At the end of this video, I will do a little dive into the difference between homage and copy watches and so on. So I'll do a little bit of that, but the main thing here is the battle. So let's get started. What you can see, this is the old one. This is the Ocean Vintage Military 42, and it has a black dial. This is the first edition they came out with was black, and then they later changed it, and all the coming editions were gray, and well, it's an homage to the Rolex, which is black. So I mean, everyone or most people preferred the black one, and then they became sold out. So I have ideally been waiting for a 39 or a 40mm watch, and now it's here, and this is the one. So now you can simply see them side by side. I am so happy that they made it. Actually, it's not Steinhart who made it, it was Homage, who which is a kind of retailer in, I think it was Singapore. They have ordered them as a special edition, so it's not a true Steinhart edition. So I'll just say thank you to Homage for doing this. So as you can see, they have requested the black dial just like the black dial just like the original one, and so that's great. It's that's what we want. So where are the 3 improvements? Well, first of all, the improvement is in the size. You can see the size difference here. It's actually, if I take the old one here, you can see it's 42.5, and the big problem also is this 50mm lock to lock. And then it's a 14.5 thickness, and a lot of people have been complaining about that size, including me. I thought it was workable, actually, but once I started wearing it, I just more and more seldom used it, because it's a little bit too big. I have 7-inch wrist, or slightly less than 7-inch wrist. What you can see is, I mean, it's actually not that bad. It seems like an okay size, but once you start wearing it, I'm also into vintage watches, so for me that's I really like smaller watches. And in this case here, you can see the new one, 38.9, so 39mm, which is more or less like the original Rolex. I don't know the true measurements of this. I think it was 40, 39 or 40, I don't really know. And so here you've got much more manageable 46.8mm lock to lock, which is totally a great size. The thickness, however, is not really that different. I mean, it's 14.3, it's the same, more or less. But if I put it on, it has a totally different proportion when I look at it. It wears so much better and so much more comfortable, and I can wear it all day, and I don't feel it. It's simply such a joy to wear compared to the 42. So the size is really the main thing here. So that's the first one. The second benefit is also something I knew ahead of time. Look at the bezel. The old one has this sort of a dull gray metal, industrious looking thing. The coin edge here is dull, whereas the new one, the 39, is mirror polished or polished, and that's a vast improvement here in my eyes. Also because I don't like the dull edge here, and I really like this one. That's the first thing. And the second thing is the original has a polished coin edge. So I mean, the new 39 is more true, both in terms of the size and more true in terms of the coin edge. So those were the two things I expected to get. But there was a bonus. Number 3, the third improvement, is actually something I'm really, really happy about. The hour markings. Because if you look, maybe it doesn't pick it up here. Well, yes, it does. If you see the minute and hour hand is actually quite nice. No problem there. The hour markings here, especially if you look at it straight on, they are yellow. They don't have any vintage. I mean, the hands here, the hour and minute hand, perfect, vintage, dirty looking vintage loom, like. But the hour markings are totally like, how to describe it? It's flat, it's yellow, just totally yellow, just like if you just made it today. I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. It's always been a thorn in my eyes, but I didn't expect to get something beautiful like this. What you can see is the hour markings are totally the same as the minute hands and hour hands. They are, not only is it the same kind of vintagey look, like a little bit dirty yellow, it's also very thick. It's thick and it's more or less like applied, in a thick layer, and it has the same, mustard yellow thing like the hands, and it's, a real step up. So for me, this is totally nice, and I didn't expect that bonus. I get away with this. Looks like something to be crude, this yellow looks like something comes off a plastic bag or something, but this one looks aged, it looks vintage, it looks mustard yellow. It's nice. So I'm not beating around the bush. The Steinhart did a home run with this one, or Gnomon did, because they ordered it. Other than that, you can see they're quite similar, and the construction is the same. The build quality is the same. The ETA movement is the same. So there was two things I wanted to check out. I heard that the hour hand and the minute hand were using the same size. So both of them have the same size hands, despite the 39 being smaller. And I tried to measure it. It's a little bit difficult to measure, but when I do it, it looks like it's totally the same. So they haven't done new hands, smaller hands on the new one. But if I look at it, actually it doesn't. Surprisingly, it doesn't matter, because if I look at it from the very outer edge of the hour marking to this one, so the dial size is actually totally the same for the new and the old. I didn't expect that. So no matter where I measure it, from the tip of one hour marking to the tip of the other one is the exact same. So some mysteries at play. It seems to me, or when I've measured, it's from the here on the outer edge. There's a little bit less. They have squeezed the space, and also in the bezel. So that way they have reduced the overall size to 39, but more or less the same diameter on the dial itself, from marking to marking. And just if we look at the new one here and compare it to the you have an hour hand that goes past, just a little bit past the hour marking. And if you look over here, that's also what the original Rolex had. And the hour hand is, you know, close to the horizontal hour marking, and the same goes here. So when I compare it with the picture, they're maybe not 100% correct, but you know, more or less the same. The only difference actually is the second hand. The second hand here stays with more or less within the small markings over here, but here it goes right to the edge. So yeah, small differences, but they're there. Another thing some people have complained about is the bezel. There's some play. Actually, there's no play at all. This one, it's really tight. There's no play, no back play at all. It's totally secure. A lot of people have complained about that. I can't find it. If I should complain about something, is that it's a little bit stiff. Maybe that will improve when I turn it some more. But it's not as good as the 42, which is a little bit more easy to turn. So that would be the only downside here. It's a little bit harder to grip. It's a little bit more stiff. So basically, on a 1-to-1 battle, this is winning 3 points ahead, and they're taking an already good dial and really cranking it up a notch and making something that is truly wearable on the wrist. It's such a joy to have a watch on where you don't fight against the weight, you don't fight against the size, but it's just there naturally, and you don't get tired, and you're not noticing it. So that's a real joy. So what about it being an homage? That's a big controversy, and I want to give my few seconds of rant on this topic. My opinion is no better or worse than anyone else. I just wanted to give my 2 cents about it. First of all, something I haven't heard before really is, when I'm buying a watch like this, I'm not after a Rolex. I don't want a Rolex like this. It's not because I'm after the Rolex brand, because Rolex wasn't the ones who made this Milsop design. Years before, that was made by Omega. Same kind of design. And I'm not after an Omega design because it wasn't Omega that designed it. It was the MOD, the Ministry of Defense. This is a military watch designed by the military. So I'm not after Rolex, I'm not after Omega, I'm not after the MOD, because I don't care about the Ministry of Defense. Basically, what I care about is that a bunch of divers sitting around the table discussing, in our experience, if we want to create the ultimate dive watch, real tool watch, what are we after? What is the specification for such a watch? And they came up with this, or the Omega, So it's not an Omega design, it's not a Rolex design. A bunch of divers created this. And what they said was, I wouldn't want to go into details with everything, but the hour hand and the minute hand has to be really legible. A lot of the plume here, I mean the hour markings should be big, it should be bold, you should be able to see it really clearly. You don't need to have, you know, raised applied markers and so on, because it's a tool watch. So basically that's what we're after. So it's really designed from that perspective. And the only thing that's not true to that is they had fixed locks. The original had fixed locks here, which means that you can't take it away. It means it was designed with this kind of NATO strap in mind. So I don't want to wear this on anything else, because I mean I am really into the divers and their experience. That's what I'm after. And they're sitting down doing something that they think this is the ultimate watch, and they want it on a NATO, so that's why I take it on a NATO as well. Other dive watches, no problem, I can do, you know, metal bracelets or leather bracelets or whatever, but not for this watch. This has a special, unique history behind it, so I'll take it on a NATO, thank you very much. But of course, when you buy it, I mean, this is my own NATO I put on. When you buy it, you get a bracelet. So I know a lot of you guys are really into metal bracelets, so I'll just show them to you here. These on the left is the belonging to the 42, and on the right you got, sorry, I'll turn it around. On the right you got it for the new 39. And I am no expert, so don't listen to I have no clue whatsoever what makes a good bracelet. Of course it's solid end links, which is great. For me they look really nice. I mean, I don't wear bracelets like this, so but the quality seems really nice. So I'll just let you guys have a look, and then you can decide for yourself. There's a lot of tapering going on with this one, with the new one. So Gnomon writes that it makes it more like, you know, a little bit more tapering, a little more elegant. I have no clue. I'm not into bracelet, but I must say it looks nice for me. But these will just stay in my drawer and not do anything. So yeah, it's a little bit of a tough luck here. I think this was intended for NATO. I'll keep it on a NATO, and I'll be happy about that. Really, really nice watch. So let's get into the final part of this. My view on this is, at the red zone you got fake watches, counterfeit. It says Rolex on the dial. This is the red zone. Of course this is a no-go, clearly. Then you got the copy, and then you got a homage. Copy is when you make a, you know, you copy basically everything on a Rolex or whatever. You copied it and you put your own name on it. And I must say Steinhart is guilty of that. They make, you know, the Mercedes hands, they make the Cyclops, they make, you know, you can't see, I mean, especially I'm not a Rolex expert. From 1 meter away you can't see whether it's a Rolex or Steinhart. The only difference is the name. And for me, that makes it a copy watch. You have a different name, so it's not fake, but it's a copy watch. Whether you call this a red zone or a yellow zone, there's a lot of debate there. So some guys say, I don't mind. For me, it's a yellow zone. I can live with that. Others say it's a red zone. Basically these two are the same. We will never do that. That's up to you. Personally, I have a problem with copy watches, so I'm not that keen on them. But this Steinhart here is an homage, and that's what I call a true homage, because the name homage is being thrown around like candy. true homage in my words means you cannot buy that watch today. So homage comes from the word respect. You respect it and you want to create something that is similar as a tribute to the watch. Copy watches is not tribute. That's just Rolex are selling some great watches. We will try to take a portion of their revenue or their turnover by making something and hope people will buy it. That's not what in homage. Homage is out of respect and out of for something that's no longer around. So my two criteria is the watch should not be available today. You cannot buy this watch, the Milsop. It was never for sale. It was for divers in the military. The second thing is it's not like I'm taking money away from Rolex because they've never sold it on the market, and I can't find it on the vintage market. If I could, I mean, yes, you can, but at $100,000 or more. I mean, it's out of reach for anyone. So, I'm not taking money away from Rolex. If I can buy it new, I buy the Rolex and not the Steinhart. I mean, but this is a real tribute to something that has never been intended for private persons. So they're recreating it out of respect. I like that. So, for me, what I call a true homage is something I have no problem in buying, because it's like having a very old flint axe from 20,000 years ago or whatever, 2,000 years ago, and now you're making an homage copy of that flint axe, so you can buy it for your own home. So you cannot get the original. That's in a museum. So for me, that's the difference. And of course, then you got inspiration watches, which means there's own design, and they have a few design cues from a Rolex or something, but not the whole thing. And then at the end, of course, you got your own design, truly own design. The funny thing about Steinhart is they're all over the place, which is they've got copy watches, which I dislike to some extent. Then they got an homage watch like this one, which is great. We're in the green zone. And then they got several designs, which is their own, and I really like them. They're a little bit too big for me, but they have their own design, and I really wanted them if they were just making them smaller. So basically Steinhart is all over the place. So they get real credit here, they get very good credit here, and they get some flag here. So like anything, it's a mixed bag. But I must say a big thank you for this one. I really like this. This is well done. So me and my little buddy here is thanking Gnomon for doing this little piece here. And stay tuned for the next episode. Bye.